Welcome everyone to the L7C podcast NBA Finals preview edition. We have made it to what we strive for in the NBA season, the NBA Finals. There's only two teams remaining, one from the West, one from the East. And we are going to be breaking down who we think is going to win the finals, the rounds before, the conference finals, X factors, and things of that nature. So we have the NBA aficionado with us, Mr. Evan Debo. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing good, Martin. How are you? It's finals
I
time.
It is finals time. I am very, very excited for a whole bunch of different reasons for this finals, Evan, and we're not gonna bury the lead. We're gonna go right into it. Want to give you credit on the Eastern Conference Finals prediction. I think you got it right in the exact games because I think I picked the Knicks in six and you picked the Pacers in six, and you were spot on.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the Pacers stole game one. I mean, that's just what they do.
Hmm.
It could have been pushed to potentially, seven had the Knicks, done what they needed to do in game one. But I mean, just to see how the Cavs got boat raced in the earlier round, and
Hmm.
then like just looking at the lack of Knicks depth, that's just where my head was at, and I mean that's I guess what ended up playing out. Not always right. I'm wrong a lot of times, but on this occasion, I mean, it was exactly what you thought it was. It was pace, 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 pace. The two games that the Knicks won were at the Knicks slow, methodical pace, and I mean the Pacers just got out to a track meet and made them turn the ball over a lot, and the clincher was everything was pretty much done in the third quarter.
Yeah, and just like you said, that game one really set the tone because that game one was absolutely crazy. The
Yeah,
138 to 135 victory in overtime.
yeah. I mean, again, like it's the Knicks have been on, but going back to the Boston series, they've been on some other sides of, some of those runs and stuff. So I mean, it was about time, I guess that things teeter back that way. But I mean, that again, that's just who the Pacers are. I mean, just they're a relentless machine that just keeps on coming with haymakers over and over and over again. It just, yeah, I mean, it slipped away from New York, and I mean, Indiana, just like Cleveland, they were able to take two games on the road to start.
Yep, they did. And both games were the 138, 135, same the tone one, then 114 to 109. And then game three, the Knicks won 106 to 100. Then Indiana won game four, 130 to 121. And then you had Knicks winning game five, 111 to 94. Then Indiana closing out 125 to 108 back in Indiana. What is with this pace? Like, so the Pacers, I believe they eliminated the Knicks last year.
Yep.
So, Evan, just this rise of the Knicks, because I mean the rise, not enough the Knicks, they did well, but I mean of the
Yeah, they
Pacers
did
who are
well.
going to the finals. Obviously, we didn't foresee, you and I did not foresee the Pacers making it this far because injuries happen, things like that. We'd expect a Cavs or a Boston in this spot. Knicks were a distant third, maybe a fully healthy Sixers team, like a fourth, and then you start thinking about the Pacers. But again, they've made it to the Eastern Conference Finals 2 years in a row. They're about to go to the NBA Finals, the first time in exactly 25 years. How does this Pacers team succeed so well these past couple years in the playoffs and are just really almost afterthoughts in the regular season?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it, I mean, again, is just the pace at which they play at. Like, I'm trying to think of like, and again, this will be who, regardless of who wins, this will be this. We've talked about this before. This seventh different champion in 7 years. Just speaking to
Correct.
where we're at with parity.
Correct.
I think, especially when you look at like how the last few years have gone. Like, I think first and foremost, for any team to really be in contention nowadays, like you got to have continuity. Like
Hmm.
none of this, hey, we in the off season we brought in all star this,
Yes.
key six man this, and we're just gonna wing it and do it. Like that just doesn't work anymore.
Yes.
Like the Heedle stuff, like it just doesn't work. The league is too deep, the league is too good. So I think that's Formula One. I think Formula Two is you gotta obviously be able to play defense in the playoffs.
Hmm.
Cavs weren't able to do that against Indy. Knicks weren't able to do that against Indy. I think in Indy, was able to do that in both of the last two series against top tier. ESPN or ESPN top tier Eastern Conference cream of the crop teams here. So I think there's obviously the defensive piece, but this pace wrinkle, man. I mean, like it's like you get a little bit of like the Warriors just sprint on every make vibes without the 3 point shooting. And not to say the Pacers don't have 3 point shooting, but I mean they just everybody pushes the pace. I mean, after every made basket, how many times do we see that in this series where Karl Anthony Towns just putting his head down, and he was a dog this series. I mean, I saw a lot out of him that I was like, whoa, I was impressed. Like that doesn't seem like the cat narrative that we had in Minnesota. Like we were like, oh man, he's kind of flaky offensively at times.
Mhm.
But you'd have that cat make, and then all of a sudden, it's ball like barely makes it through the bottom of the net, and it's pushing the other way. And then, like, I mean, I joked with a couple friends watching in a couple different forums about. Then you've got he does it because he's good. I don't mean it to be a slight. It'll come across as slight, but you've got like the game's best lengthy cherry picker and Pascal Siakam just layup, boom, and it just erases whatever you try to do. And if you're trying to go, toe for toe with the Pacers, you're going to lose. I mean, they're just so fast. Those guards are just vicious on the defensive side of things, picking people up, making you work, and eating 10, 11 seconds off the shot clock. By the time you get over half court, avoid the 8 second, and then start to think about your first or second pass. And then again, offensively, just timely buckets. How many times do we get the Nemhard?
Mhm.
Just kind of slow mo step back, mid range. It was automatic. The Halliburton floaters. Again, and just obviously timely buckets from your TJ McConnell. Aaron Nesmith had a 30-point game in this series. It's just a band of. I don't mean to say warriors, but like they go to bat for each other. They know where to be at all times when the geometry of the court changes, as they say, and you get in, a Jalen Brunson to attack, or you get in a cat to attack on the offensive side of things. They do it, and they do it until you physically take the height out or the scoring out, and you have to figure out something else. And the Knicks just didn't have the depth to figure out something else. I mean, it's been almost like a renaissance in Indiana with just basketball in general.
Yeah. Yeah, and obviously to the women's side with like the Indiana Fever and Caitlin Clark and all that stuff. But then like obviously Tyrese Halliburton's kind of been a funny how ever since he got voted the most overrated player in the NBA by his peers, he's been on this tear. Game five wasn't his best game. Even game six, the closeout game, wasn't his best game in the series. I mean, Pascal Siakam led him, but you could tell he's the floor general of that team. What does it say about him that, Evan, just put this in perspective? Pascal Siakam, well, not Pascal, even Pascal, that's about to be a second finals. But Tyrese Halliburton has now been to two conference finals. He's about to make his first NBA finals. And there's a lot of stars who haven't even made it out of the second round. A la in the East, Joel Embiid, just to name one. There's a lot more, but
Donovan Mitchell.
Donovan Mitchell, like, and Tyrese has somehow done it. Like, what does it say about him, his fit with the Pacers, and obviously, the trade from Sacramento from Sabonis and all that? Like, feels like the Pacers want it now. Want
Oh
that trade.
yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, and that was a horrible trade, and a franchise that just continues to make bad mistakes, passing on Luka Doncic. Yeah, basically dumping Tyrese Halliburton for Sabonis and some change, and I mean it just yeah. I mean, but I think it's more about the fit. I mean,
Mm,
they've put around Indy guys that can play at his pace. That that are really good ball handlers that don't turn the ball over themselves a lot. Kick great. They've got that guard forward combo skill set on the offensive side of the ball, and then they're physical brutes defensive. I mean, what Nemhard had 6 steals last night in the
yeah,
closer.
he was
I
going
mean, and
absolutely
impacted the
crazy.
game so much outside of that. And I mean, it's just, and I mean, and then they've got kind of really raw untapped potential still. And, we saw flashes of Benedict Mathurin. here and there. I think he had a 20-point game in this series, but like he's just not making good decisions right now on a consistent basis. But like long term, that's a guy that, okay, if he figures it out, you add him into the lineup, in their rotation in the years to come. I mean, they're not going anywhere anytime soon. It's just been teased a number of times in other spheres. Like Indy never pays the luxury tax, so it'll be interesting to see how long they go into it. You assume they're going to, re-sign some folks in the offseason, a la Miles Turner. But they just, back to the core of your question, yes. I mean, Sacramento's done a horrible job as a franchise for 20 some years. But yeah, that Pascal Siakam move, and I want to talk about another franchise. It's just, what the hell are you doing? You're Toronto. You basically, you move on Pascal Siakam, who I think was 29 at the time, or 29 going on 30, because he's only 31 now. And then, you get back some draft capital, odds and ends, and then, you take back Bruce Brown and his cowboy hats, who's been injured and hasn't really played for you on the salary side of things. And you move around some of that draft capital to switch for Brandon Ingram. So you basically send out Pascal Siakam and you get back Brandon. What are you doing as a franchise? What are you doing? Meanwhile, you offload OG Anunoby. Fred VanVleet walks from your 2019 title team. Like it just, yeah. But back to the Pacers again. Basketball renaissance. It's beautiful to watch them play the full court. I mean, it's just fun. Like, I hate that it was expensive by Cavs in round 2, but I mean, like, I just had this feeling this entire time that like they're just playing at a different level, speed wise, agility wise, and decision making wise. And this is all without 2 centers that they lost for the season. Everybody forgets.
Mm-hmm. Man, it's crazy to see. Like, again, none of us thought the Pacers would get here, but the Pacers
Martin,
believe.
talk a little bit about Pascal Siakam. Your Eastern Conference Finals MVP by 1 vote, but talk a little bit about him.
Oh, well, it's actually kind of interesting for me in this perspective right now, because obviously, for people who don't know, both my parents are from Cameroon, Africa, where Pascal Siakam is from. Right now, accolades wise, because now he's going to be in his second NBA Finals, and he's already a champion, got something like there. He is right now the best Cameroonian basketball player probably of all time. Not from a talent perspective, that's still going to be Joel Embiid, but I mean from a resume standpoint right now, especially if by hook or crook he wins a championship, another one. Like, it's just cool because it shows the NBA is heavy right now. God rest his soul, Dikembe Mutombo and Basketball Beyond Borders, getting into Africa, and other African-born NBA stars or former players getting there, helping find people like Pascal Siakam and Joel Embiid. And for old school basketball watchers from the UCLA days of Mbah Moute,
Yep.
that's a name drop for
Luke
y'all.
Richard.
Yeah, so it is really cool to see him still thriving in the league, especially at a time. I don't know if you saw it too. He's been balling ever since Gilbert Arenas on his Little Gills podcast said that he never reached his potential, Pascal Siakam, and I was just like, I don't know what you were supposed to reach, but okay.
Yeah. He just imposed his will in this series. I mean, like
Yeah.
the Cavs clearly did. I said this before, like,
Yes, you did.
heading in that series, Cavs did not have an answer for Siakam, like,
Mhm.
and the Knicks didn't either. I mean, he's relentless. He's just so long, relentless downhill attacker that's just hard to stop. Like, part of it, like, I get frustrated, like, if you're rooting against Pascal, you're going to say he's just kind of, going in there out of control. But
Yep.
there's a lot of times that, like, while he's kind of, I'm not saying flailing around, because there's a difference between flailing around to be a foul merchant, which we'll get to in a second, or, a flopper, and Jalen Brunson's case as the Pacers chanted at him. But like, it just looks uncoordinated, but the ball freaking goes in the basket, and he gets
Mhm.
in over those bigs, reaching out over his outstretched arms to, do a really hard angle shot off glass. Like, And then he's got the mid range stuff too. I mean, the Knicks just had no answer for him. I mean, put it this way, the Knicks gave up a lot in the offseason for Bridges. And 2 years ago, the Pacers gave up probably, what was expected, not, the farm like the Knicks did for Bridges for Siakam. Siakam was way, way better this series. I mean, like not even close in terms of what you give up for what you get. I mean, just impose his will every step of the way. Oklahoma City's prepared. They got a lot of good wing defenders and stuff, but Siakam's going to get his a little bit in the next series.
Yeah, and right there, you just named their opponent in the finals. The Oklahoma City Thunder took care of the Minnesota Timberwolves. We both had OKC winning this in 5 games. It was pretty, besides some of the close ones, no, there weren't even that big of close ones. I do want to say one quick thing before we get into this too. The one game the Timberwolves won when they were up by 1 billion points. I was with the captain of the L7C, Thunder fan Byron Mitchell, and lordy lord, that was some anger. That was some anger. He was truly embarrassed by that Thunder thing. Obviously, they're going to the finals, but that game 3, oh boy, that was tough.
I mean, any given night, yeah, that game 3 that you speak of, it was a 143-101 win.
Mm-hmm.
And they got lost, and then they lost in a gentleman's sweep. Your gentleman's sweeping win was by 40 points, and you lost every other game. And only one of those games was by 2 points.
Yeah.
I mean, it would, because everything else was just, it wasn't even close. Martin, what did you see in this series? The anomaly game aside by the Minnesota Timberwolves there, game 3. What did you see from Oklahoma City? Besides, obviously, we know they got the defense. We know that they're just, hounds in the passing game. They can just shut your water off for possessions. Your usual SGA stuff. What else did you see around the fringes that made this just not even close?
I'll give this guy credit because at most of the last series, he was absolutely not to his standard until the end of it. Jalen Williams was a big, big factor in this.
Yep.
Third team All NBA, by the way. Congratulations to him. I mean, I forgot which game. He had a 30-point game, some 20-point games. He was there. Lou Dort's defense on Ant Edwards. I don't remember the last time, Evan, you saw someone pick up a star player from 94 feet. And Lou Dort was there playing. Like, those two in particular, for me, really stood out besides the usual stuff because SGA was going to get his, but if he's getting 30 and then a teammate's getting 30 and then everyone else is doing what they're supposed to do, that's literally almost impossible to stop.
Yeah, Jalen Williams really had a coming of age piece here. I mean, he had, that 40-point loss. He had 13 points, and it was a struggle to get to 13. But outside of that, he didn't need to play the minutes, because the game was so decided in the closer. He had 19, another game with 26, another game with 34. I mean, the dude from Santa Clara, like, I was really high on him in the draft. And he's just continuing to take the leap and figure it out. Like you said, made an All NBA team. He's such a good decision maker. But yeah, I mean, what Lou Dort was able to do in this series, what Caruso was able to do in this series.
Alex Caruso.
That's why you go get a guy like that. Now, I mean, they joke and say he's the old guy. I mean, is he 30 yet? Obviously,
he's barely pushing it.
Yeah, he won a title with the Lakers, back in the day, in the bubble. But again, they've got every defensive thing to deploy imaginable.
He is 31, February 28, 1994.
Oof. Yep. Yeah, just such an old guy at 31. Yeah, no. But I mean, and again, like what Chet has been able to do, finally healthy. I mean, you're getting your usual from Hartenstein, making decisions there off the elbow, the little push shot game. Some nights it's in, some nights it's not, but he's going to give you, solid defense and get you a bunch of boards and stuff. That's what he does, dating back to his time with the Knicks. and the Clippers for that 1 year. But just Chet's ability to hit the outside shot, to block shots in the paint. I mean, that all that stuff you're going to need, on display against Indiana. So, but I mean, just Minnesota. I feel bad for Mike Conley continuing to try and chase and get to the finals, get that ring. Obviously, all those years with Memphis, but as a starting one guard, what year 20 or so in the league now. You got Ant, again, like you got Gobert. I mean, offensively, you got Gobert and Conley not really giving you much in terms of bucket scoring night to night. Conley's still setting people up and setting the table well, but it's just they're just not between when Naz Reid is kind of I mean, second, third best scoring option.
And if he's not scoring, they're in trouble.
They are in big trouble, Martin, and that was really the name of the game throughout this. I mean, they just could not. On top of the fact that OKC just literally would not let them score, and I mean, Julius Randle had himself a really good playoffs. I mean, he's going to be a free agent. He's going to get re-signed. He's going to get himself some money. But, a couple duds in this series. He had that 6-point game 2, 24 in the big game 3, 5 points on 1 of 7 shooting in game 4. But, I mean, he had been on a tear in the Golden State series. He put up at least 24 3 times in the other games in this series. But it just where's the scoring going to come from? I mean, it worked out, I think, for both teams for the Knicks and Timberwolves trade, but they're kind of both. They both kind of have symptoms of the same illness, and the illness is bench depth and shooting. They just don't. Neither team has it, and it can only take you so far when you just face a lineup that's really 10 deep like this, and as a buzzsaw for the. Pacers against the Knicks, and now OKC against Minnesota, and OKC advances. I mean, it's just an embarrassment of riches, Martin. They still have so many picks. They're going to have to make some decisions because, okay, well, we've got all these picks. Where are you going to put these players at now that are continuing to come, with the Sam Presti idea. But meanwhile, you've got a really good roster, and you're really good on every end. And, you're going to try to do 2-for-1 bundles and stuff. That means you got to pay bigger guys you're bringing back to open up roster spaces. I mean, it's an embarrassment of riches, but good problem to have. But the good problem they do have right now is they're the favorites heading into the finals on Thursday.
Yes, they are the favorites for betting people. They're like minus 700. And also just to go on their moves, because since he won MVP and all that stuff, and it's his time, SGA is going to be eligible for the Omega Supermax this summer. Which they're probably going to have the Oklahoma City police, SWAT team, the feds all drive around that car with the contract to make sure it gets to SGA's house. Yep. My thing now is obviously he's going to get his piece. Since he made a 13 All NBA, Jalen Williams is going to be due for a pay upgrade.
Yep.
So are you going to do both in the same summer?
They're going to do both in the same summer. You're going to see what Cleveland was able to do in short order with, Incan Donovan and Incan Darius Garland and Mobley to Max. They're going to be doing the same. They're just in the prime of life, just phenomenal basketball players that any team, is envious of. So, I mean, you do that this summer, I'd say, you could start unofficially signing folks and stuff around, little after the draft, heading into the 4th of July. That's always the big weekend. But I mean, I'd say by July 10th, both have those super big deals.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting with that. But no, I'm happy for them. And the game I was 100% guaranteed I knew Oklahoma City was going to win was game 2 when newly crowned MVP SGA got his trophy in front of the crowd. The MVP really doesn't lose that game when they get that trophy per se in the playoffs, even though it took them 50 years to finally announce it.
Yeah, it was just so weird.
Longest one ever. It was forever.
The league kept putting out, well, we don't always do it in the second round. Like, yeah, you do.
Yep. Yes, you do.
It's just because you didn't want to announce it with the 2. And again, it wasn't like it was within a super, super close margin. Like it was obviously SGA by the vote. But Martin, one real quick thing on the Oklahoma City experience, because
Mhm.
and I think we've talked about this before, so I don't mean to harp on it too much.
Oh no.
Oklahoma City's fans and playing in that arena on top of everything else the basketball team and the product provides on the court in terms of output, talent wise,
Hmm.
is just they need to get their due. I mean, and it starts with just something simple that like because I've been to Cavs playoff games where this is the case. You'll watch Knicks playoff games, you'll watch Lakers playoff games. There's this like, especially when you like you're in the big cities and stuff like that. Not that Cleveland is. Cleveland just I think in Cleveland's case this is just a symptom of like success where they've been there so many times. They're like, it is what it is. But something small, just putting on the shirt when you're watching a Oklahoma City game and you see the blue and white like streaks up and down the lower bowl or the all blue, like that is an intimidating like college basketball like environment. It's just like
Hmm.
it just adds to it. But like there's just this too cool for school. Like I've been to Cavs playoff games where Ahmad Crump, the Cavs, in-house kind of PA host, is like begging people. They have like a segment where they're like, "Put on the shirt," and they're chanting. The people just sitting on the free shirts and not doing anything with them, and like they just have to like make this appeal. Like I don't know why that's the case. I think every little bit adds up when it comes to home court advantage, but you never see that in OKC. They are all in all the time, just a crazy loud raucous environment, and it's going to be like that for the NBA Finals.
Yeah, we talked about the Pacers. It's their first time being there in 25 years. This is the Thunder's first time being back since the 2012 season, where Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, James Harden, Serge Ibaka, and all of them guys went against the Heat, and that is who the Heatles got their first championship against. Evan, down to two. Thunder, Pacers. Game one is Thursday. Just a quick reminder for people, it is the normal format, two at home for the higher seed, two away, then one Thunder, one game six, Pacers, game seven, Oklahoma City. And if you remember back in the couple years ago, the finals, the 2-3-2 format from back in the day, that's obviously gone. Who's an X factor for you for this series?
Um, I mean, I think it's Pascal Siakam. I
Hmm.
think if the Pacers, I'm going to keep banging that drum. I mean, I think again, OKC's the betting favorite. They're my favorite. They're who I'm going to pick to win. But if I'm going to be wrong, it's going to be because Pascal Siakam was a menace for a 7 game series, 4 to 7 game series. I mean, obviously you've got, especially if you can get in a spot where like you can get Chet in a little bit into foul trouble. Because then you're like, I mean, and again, it's not that Caruso is not a great defender because he is, but I mean, at a certain point, size matters. Like, who are you throwing at a guy that long, that explosive? Like, there's only so many guys. And again, Oklahoma City, every last one of those guys that they play, like 1 through 8, 1 through 9, are really good defenders. But who do they have size wise and foot speed wise to keep up with a small forward like that? Like, so that's my X factor, I think, in this series. What about yours?
You actually named him, and it's Chet. I think if Chet plays well, this series is going to be done relatively quick. Like if he, because you already know what SGA is going to give you. Like if he is getting double doubles, obviously, like giving Miles Turner and them fits, I don't think the Pacers can beat them if Chet is going crazy.
Yeah, I mean Chet has really had a coming of age, and I mean again, not a lot, not a lot of NBA time. He's just been so good on both sides of the ball. That's going to make it. That's going to make it tough. He's really going to make it tough on the Pacers that again do not have a lot of phenomenal perimeter shooting. I know like the Cavs saw some good heaters going on, from them, but like especially like like what's a TJ McConnell going to do when he's he lives in trying to get to the paint, and suddenly there's Chet who's able to match him step for step, and he can't break free of him. Or especially if the Pacers, Miles, Turner gets in foul trouble in the paint. Like again, they are down two centers from where they started the year. Like, where are you going size wise? Because they can go two bigs, they can go one big, four out. And I mean, again, and Chet isn't out. Chet can, consistently hit a 3-pointer. So not surprised by that take at all. I mean, I think that's definitely more likely of the two. But Martin, let's get to predictions.
Gotcha. Let's see what I just said. Two at Oklahoma, two in the Pacers. I think, I think the Thunder. I do have the Thunder winning the championship. I think they will win in Oklahoma City, so I think they'll win in 5 games. I think the Pacers will win game 3.
I think. Sorry, one more time. You said you think they'll win in five.
We'll win in 5 because so they can celebrate at Oklahoma City. Obviously, they're not going to like rig it for that. That's how I feel like it's going to happen.
Yeah, yeah, I think so too. But yeah, I think that I'm going to take them in five. But I think it's going to be much like closer to the Knicks series, where I think you're going to again. I think Oklahoma City is going to get wins, but I don't think it's going to be by like you might get one game that's an anomaly, but I think they're going to be really tight wins that maybe pull away late. I don't think you're going to see any drastic 18 points here, 30 points here, like, throughout. Like, I think it's going to be tight. Like, the Knicks were in a lot of these games in the Eastern Conference Finals. I think you're going to see similar output from the Pacers.
No, they will not be afraid of the moment. I think it's going to be crazy to say. I think Oklahoma City absolutely needs to win game 1 because the Pacers have just been living on beating the favorites at home the past 2 series.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. And that Oklahoma City crowd will be there ready to go. I mean, not that the Knicks crowd wasn't, not that the Cavs crowd wasn't, but I mean, Oklahoma City will rise to the occasion, I think, as well, too. So, I mean, just like we drew it up, right? Oklahoma City Pacers
Yeah.
final.
Hey, we'll get a new champion, like you said. I think we're at the point now where obviously people would say NFL with parity, but we've had Chiefs and 49ers and Eagles all in the Super Bowl these past couple years. I think the NBA right now, these past 5, especially 7 years, has been the best parity sport in America right now.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just been crazy. We're gonna get a new champ. What teams where some people had no shot of getting here, and then they saw Oklahoma City win the 68, and they're like, oh, maybe they will do it, but the media, the Lakers, and all that, and then Pacers, no one gave them a chance, and here we are. It's going to be very exciting, young teams, young new stars, and I hope that Evan, that when promoting the game, I know it's going to be brought up a bit. I just hope it's not too much about it's small market teams, blah blah blah. But it's weird because the media's fixation of crowning a quote unquote face of the league, but then they're gonna harp about it being small markets. This is how you get people to watch your sport. You got to prop like, all right, if you're coming in the NBA, we got some new blood taking over, like the LeBron, KD, Steph thing. That is done, and this is going to be the new generation. Let's get you on board with them. That's how you promote the sport, man. Instead of saying, "Oh, smart market this, small market that," I'm already getting ahead of the curve because I know it's what's going to be said. But they need to promote these finals like this is this current generation and the younger generations going forward.
Yeah, I mean they absolutely have to. I mean, again, I know there's always this East and West Coast bias that you got to get the big teams, you got to get the big cities involved, all the things. But there's legitimate under 30-year-old talent that I mean is just so good between Halliburton and I really okay. Obviously SJ is the easy answer, but really OKC's like top 3 players. I mean, again, like you might not see it now, but 5 years from now, like Jalen Williams, you're still going to be like, whoa, this dude is a dude. like recognize it where you're at in the moment. Like this definitely is like the 2012, you know, OKC vibes in terms of, again, not saying any of these guys are going to be Kevin Durant, out of the pack, but uh, again, recognize when you're on the forefront of something as opposed to when it's too late and, oh yeah, we probably should have done this or this way. So, Martin, speaking of,
Oh, real quickly,
yeah,
because you brought up Evan, when is the last time the
oh,
NBA regular season MVP won the finals MVP?
good question. Let me go back. Good
Just
time.
start.
The last time, I clearly you know the answer.
Mhm. We know this
The
person very well.
the regular season MVP won the finals MVP. All right, going back. Okay. I mean, I feel like I know the easy answer, but I'm just afraid it was too far ago.
No, you
Too.
if you know him. You know him.
Yeah, it's probably one LeBron James.
Correct. And
That's hard to believe. Like it was such a long.
obviously, disclaimer, people, we're not talking about the Lakers 2021
No,
or
no,
the
no, no. Yeah, we're
2016
talking.
Cavs.
Yeah, yeah.
You are 100% right. We're talking
Wait,
Heatles,
time out. Time out. You said what was you said regular season?
regular season and finals MVP in the same year.
LeBron did not win it in 2016 though.
No, he didn't. He did not. We're talking about Heat LeBron.
Yeah, okay, that's what I was gonna say. I thought you were saying 2016. I was like, oh no.
No, no, no,
Yeah,
no,
I was
no,
gonna
no, no.
say it was 20. Yeah, it would have been the 2013 year probably.
Yep.
Yep, because he won it what four straight there from '09 to 13 or 10 to 13,
He
something like
won
that.
09, 10. Derrick Rose got 11, then 12, 13. But he was the last
Yeah, there's a
person.
space in between. Yep,
Hmm.
that's just so hard to believe, man. Because I obviously you got once I started thinking about it, and I'm like, okay, well, Curry had the big year that where Iguodala won it, and then yeah, I mean, I just going through, I'm thinking of the Raptors and 19, like yeah, it's LeBron,
Yep, because
it's
obviously Curry
LeBron.
had a chance. I mean, but Cavs have stood in the way of that, and like you had Harden and Westbrook, they didn't go anywhere. Giannis, the year he won the
Ooh,
championship, Joker won
yeah,
MVP. And then the year Joker won the championship, Embiid won regular season MVP. So,
so much parity.
and we're coming from an era where that was usually the case. Like usually, like people like LeBron and like Michael Jordan, like a Tim Duncan, a Shaq, they would get a regular season MVP and a Finals MVP, and it just shows like how hard that is and how great those players were because we do not have that anymore. SGA may be the first in a long time.
He's got a chance to do something special and cap an incredibly special season. Martin, the great Phil Jackson once
Ooh,
said,
name
"Only
dropping.
serious title contenders win 40 games before they lose 20."
I've seen that
The,
quote a lot today.
yep, because the other end of this is Oklahoma City's won 80 games before they've lost 20.
Whew. You know what's crazy? Do you think they could have broken the record if Chet wasn't out for like 2 months?
Um,
They got 68 without him. And he was, well, when he was gone for a lot, because remember, he got hurt this year.
I just, I don't know that they could have. I still feel like I mean, because they finished what with 66.
8.
They finished with 68.
Hmm.
Eh, they might have. I mean, especially I think if it were a little bit closer towards the end, I think they could have. Yeah, I think they could have.
Shoot, the Cavs were at 64.
I know.
Like that's wild to say out loud too. But speaking of Cavs, it was perfect segue for me. But shout out to the Cavaliers. I know our season did not end the way we wanted, but shout out to the Cavaliers for the Donovan Mitchell first team All NBA and Mobley second team All NBA. Shout out to them.
Yes, just impressive award season. Obviously, did not go the way we wanted it to at the end, but Mobley continues to rise. Is a budding player in the league. I mean, of course, all those. I've seen the Bill Simmons like, okay, here's these tiers of pyramid players, and Hey,
Mobley's
well,
up there.
Mobley's up there. Like everybody's like starting to recognize finally.
Hmm.
And again, it's a joke he did not win Rookie of the Year in his first year. Like history will not be too kind to Scotty Barnes rollerblading down the streets of Toronto. If you saw that video, um, you got to look it up if you haven't. Just it's laughable. It has nothing to do with this argument. I'm just being petty. Um,
Oh, but on all seriousness, he should not have won that award. But
he should not
that's
have won. He should not have won that award. Um, Martin, end of season honors.
Mhm.
Let's talk about the greatest, the greatest news desk in sports lifetime, sunsetting their role on 10
Yep.
or on TNT
Inside the NBA.
inside the NBA. So obviously, we know that there's going to be a second act to this group, right?
Yes.
But in terms of how it's structured, I mean, it's basically, from what I've read and heard, it's basically literally going to be the same setup. It's just a literally different network. Even the behind the scenes folks, it's just not going to be on 10 TV anymore.
Mhm.
So obviously, like we for years, you got the 10 TV or the 10 TV, you got the TNT NBA, da 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 da.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, you got that humming. Like, you fall asleep to a West Coast game and you wake up and it's like still going for intro and outro for post game or pre game or halftime reports, all the things. But it's weird to say like goodbye, but like also they're still coming along. But like I've heard this already teased. I think ESPN's going to screw this up.
I just saw it from your guy, Bill
I know.
Simmons.
I know. That's where I've seen it already. So, I mean, I don't think they're wrong. I mean, essentially, the crux of their argument is I think how ESPN and ABC are so rigid with commercials versus like the best thing about TNT is they just let, like, if Kenny or Chuck or somebody else were just raining, like they, even if it was at the expense of commercial they'd have to air later, like they just let them go. And ESPN's like, how many people can we cram into a desk, and then everybody say 2 seconds of something, and then all right, we got to get to our sponsors. Like that's the piece I think he's dead on about. I mean, you got to give these guys lateral movement if it's to go beyond the confines of when your next ad read is, because that's what makes this show great. Is the ridiculous crap. Chuck saying, Shaq and Chuck poke fighting at each other, and then like Grandpa Kenny trying to, with love, like put it on or put a ribbon on the whole segment with contributions from Kenny here and there.
Yeah, this is where I kind of hate, and I talk about in some other mediums, obviously, like UFC and professional wrestling and NFL, where you get the business sponsors, all that, just ruining a great product. Because, I mean, NFL is about to experience that because now we're going to get to a point where people, if you watch Red Zone's going to have ads. And, like, it's, and that's going to be terrible. It's just like, so I don't know how they're going to do it. We're going to have a wait and see approach. I know everyone's going to be cautiously optimistic that first, what, Tuesday? Yeah, the first Tuesday of the NBA season in 2025 in October, Tuesday and Thursday. But I don't know. ESPN, the way they do things now, it's just, we'll see. That's all I could say. We'll see. But salute to them. I've been watching funniest moments on X/Twitter any free time I've had today and just thinking about I can't believe this was really on TV and to just lay on the couch laughing. It's been great.
If this is the end of the show as we know it, and they can't replicate even 90% of it on ESPN to make us happy, it'll be sad, but like just recognize what a run. And I mean, it's been a huge part of Tuesday, Thursday nights in the regular season, and then, for eternity for me and you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Nobody
Yeah,
does it better.
no one does. And at least they got to the six and seeing Ernie give that farewell. And we know, I mean, from obviously those people, those four would be fine financially, whatever would have happened. But, the people behind the scenes, their jobs are normal people jobs just for a high profile like the people who clean the studios and all that. And Ernie said everyone had gotten a new job or elsewhere, but or some are coming along. But we'll see how it goes, man. I don't know if they would have just benefited from just making it inside the NBA YouTube channel and having live shows there and calling it a
Yeah,
day,
yeah.
especially in this age we're in now.
People are
Evan,
doing it.
we are doing it. Evan, anything else, man? Thursday is the first game of the finals. Oh, I just want to also throw you this little teaser thing on SGA too. You know, SGA is the first Kentucky basketball player to ever win MVP from a
That's
school
kind of
that's produced
yeah.
so
It's kind of hard to
many
believe.
hoopers.
That's kind of hard to believe. I mean, probably your closest, man, especially in the last 20 years, who would have been? I mean, probably
Yeah,
AD's your best player in the
yeah,
last 20 years, right?
yeah. 100% agreed.
And I mean, an SGA takes it.
It's wild to It is wild to think about like that school and not having an MVA MVP, but who knows? All right, Evan, anything else, man? Because next time we talk, we're gonna have a new
Recapping.
champ.
We're gonna have a new champ. I'm just excited to see. I think this is gonna be, even though we're predicting it to be Oklahoma City's to take relatively early in a 7 game set. I still think the games are gonna be competitive. I think
Yes.
you're gonna see runs. I think you're gonna see teams up by like 16, 17. And who knows? Maybe that's the game that the Pacers grab. But or maybe the Pacers are up by 16, 17. Oklahoma City just comes back in the third quarter like they do a lot. And not to say where they're down, but when they are down, they make the runs in the third quarter and it's over. But I think we're going to see some good competitive basketball. Despite everybody being sad, there's no Lakers or Heat or Knicks or Celtics. So, but I think we're in store for some good stuff. But yeah, next time we get together, we'll be digesting that, previewing draft, and there's been a lot of buzz. Brian Windhurst keeps talking about there's going to be a lot of movement at the draft this year. We think
Yeah, I
with
don't
players and
believe it.
stuff. I don't know. I don't know, man. Let's see. This if Luka Doncic can get traded,
You're 100% right on that. You're right. You're right. You're right. If he can get traded on a random Saturday night of what pay-per-view was that? Royal Rumble? Royal Rumble. Then you're right. Anyone can. You are 100% right.
Kevin Durant to Minnesota, but we'll cross that when we get to it.
I think he'll be the first. I mean, if all seriousness, I know people are talking about Giannis will be the first dom. I don't even know if he's going to get traded from.
Yeah, I mean, everybody just wants to will that and
Yeah,
that thing.
the Durant thing though, like I think that's because Phoenix got to.
Durant is not going back to that team.
Yeah, Phoenix got to do something. They got to blow that thing up because I'm just looking at the teams who made the playoffs, and it's like, oof,
And
Phoenix. How do you have Durant,
how
Booker, and y'all could even make a play in?
how crazy is Boston going to get knowing that they're basically not going to win the title next year without Tatum, and they got to shed salary. Like you can't pay the luxury tax, the like quadruple apron or whatever they're at next year. Like you can offload Holiday um and Big Al, but like how frisky do they get elsewhere?
I don't know.
And the
And
name I got is, do they figure something out with capital down the road and other things for Jaylen Brown? Do they get that crazy?
we'll see. Because, like you said, they're not gonna win it next year,
We're in for a summer, Martin.
and how many people are gonna take that we're one piece away? Minnesota now has been in the Western Conference Finals 2 years in a row, and they're like, man, are we one piece away from finally doing it? I know Anthony Edwards said that he's already been in two Western Conference Finals. He's 23. He's in a long ways to make more, and he's already year five in, and that stuff ain't guaranteed.
No,
That
I
is
think
not
I
guaranteed.
we did not talk about this, and I don't want to drag the
Mhm.
podcast on anymore. But Martin, were you disappointed what you saw from Anthony Edwards there towards the end?
You mean that comment or that game where they were getting destroyed in Oklahoma City and then he was basically out the fourth quarter?
Yeah, oh, I mean, a combo of really the kind of the last, yeah, the last two there. I mean, it just you can't. I know I don't want to be the face of this league, whatever. I mean,
Oh,
we
to
know
be
what
honest,
comes.
can I talk about that real quick?
Yeah,
That
yeah.
stuff, I know we talked about it. That stuff is super annoying
No, I get
because
it.
the face of the league garbage that they're spewing now. I forgot what I was talking to this about. The face of the league, to me, I mean, was also the best player in the league, like at that point in juncture. And since the best players in the league, and it's something we've already talked about, has been international players, and they now have the argument that the face of the NBA can't be an international player, it has to be an American born player. They've completely split that concept. Because like when Braun, I mean, he's earned that right. He was the face of the league because he was the best player in the league. And we're like when Shaq's time, Kobe, Michael, Larry, Magic, like these were also the best player or 1A, 1B, 1C of the league. This thing about Anthony Edwards, and I'm not picking on him, I think he's good, is just the best player in the league. It's like, bro, Anthony Edwards isn't even first team All NBA.
Yeah,
So what are we doing making the second team NBA, third team NBA, making the overall face of the league type stuff, and you're just trying to give it away.
it's just low rent. Got to fill 3 hours on a Monday morning sports talk crap.
Yeah.
Like that's your like. I just like that's the face of conversations like that are like the worst quote unquote analysts in the game, and like the face of that right now is Kendrick Perkins. Like, I mean, it is like I'm being honest. Like
Yeah.
when I want to go to in depth, tell me why the Timberwolves lost this game. I'm going to a trusted veteran like a Zach Lowe. Like I'm
Mm.
going there. I'm not going to Kendrick Perkins and what wild crap he said for the TikTok cam on, Get Up or whatever else, like about who the face of the league is. And he's going to say it, in a big Santa Claus like voice and with gusto and make it seem like Anthony Edwards is, like just not cutting it. Like, yeah, he's still young and but that's just low rent sports talk. Like, don't fall for that, listeners. Don't fall for that.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just really, but no, to back to your thing. Yeah, I was. I mean, I
He
don't.
didn't have any atrocious like single digit scoring games. There were a couple halves where it's like, how did you only take two shots or
Mm-hmm.
whatever else? But Martin, the last two games combined 2 for 14 from three. He was 1 of 7 in each game and 8 combined turnovers. Now, granted, I think a lot. I think the turnovers can be explained because I mean they're trapping him. They know he's their offense. Like that's just more. I think part of that is you could probably shave that down to like 5. It's just where Oklahoma City is and where your team is in terms of outlets you have the ball, you have the ability to get the ball to. But the 3 point stuff, I think, is just kind of that. Hey, I'm the man. I'm taking these shots, kind of stuff. And it's like, is that the best thing for your team? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And don't
Yeah.
get me wrong, Donnie's capable of that too. I mean, he can when he doesn't have it. Sometimes it's 7 shots in before he goes, "Oh, I don't have it. I just need to bully ball and tack to the paint like 6 times in a row." And sometimes he doesn't like he'll recognize it and figure out. And Anthony hasn't quite gotten there yet because everybody's got nights like that, especially when you got really good defenders in your face flying at you from all angles. But I don't know. He's still young. There were a couple times in the series that Oklahoma City just made him irrelevant, and you're like, you just can't be irrelevant when the stakes are this high.
Yep. And like I said, he's young. Then on the flip side,
He's
it's already
young.
crazy. That's already year 5.
It's wild.
But hey, Evan, man, it was great chatting with you, man. Can't
Yeah.
wait to talk about the finals when it happens and communicating throughout the finals. First game on Thursday, and we will go from there. And with that being said, thank you everyone for listening to L7C podcast. Make sure you like, rate, comment, subscribe wherever you do. And it's NBA Finals, man. You're a basketball fan. We've made it to the end. We're going to see these two teams. We're going to see some young guns, some stifling defense, some up-tempo offense. And we're going to go from there. With that being said, L7C Podcast signing out. Thank you for listening to this episode of the L7C Podcast. Be sure to like, rate, review, and subscribe to the channel. Follow us on all social media platforms, and we'll be talking to you guys soon. Take care.